your joy is your priority. Like, you cannot wait for somebody else to prioritize your joy. I just went on a walk. I'm trying to do more walking, and well, I am doing more walking. And I had to share this. So if you're anything like me, have for a very long time felt like my desires and my needs that I wanted could be selfish. So me needing to travel, or me needing to live in Toronto, or whatever it is, like, it was luxurious, it was just extra, you know? And even though I felt like that's what gave me life and that's what, gave me energy, I felt like it was selfish and it was a luxury. And so recently I've been in a city that I don't usually live in, taking care of a really loved one who's extremely sick. And this has been going on for 6, 7, 8 months. And I have just felt my life force just slowly but surely just leave me. And I knew that I needed to make some changes. And so what I had done was I started focusing on things I could do in the city that I enjoyed. So I picked up squash and I started going to the gym. And, sometimes those things are good, and that's all that needs to happen. But I continue to feel really heavy, really also just frustrated and resentful that I was making these choices and that other people who were also involved in the situation were able to go do things that they wanted. And so I had communicated that to, the people who were all important, but I didn't communicate with certainty my need. So I said, hey, I need to be living in Toronto, or I need to be traveling. But I didn't communicate it with certainty. Because I didn't place a value on it. I knew it was something, but at the same time, I thought it was a luxury. And it's like, we're living in a time currently right now, specifically with caregiving for a loved one who's extremely sick, that it felt a luxury to ask for that. So when it wasn't, when I communicated that and people had different opinions and kind of pushbacks on that, I kind of let it go. And this had been happening for a couple of months, when finally I just hit a point and I became so angry and so resentful that I acted out, and I was really dismissive and angry and bitter, and it caused a whole bunch of issues. And so in the last couple of weeks, I've been working through those issues and repairing, or attempting to repair, those relationships. And something that I've realized is that it is not selfish for me to say, I need to travel, I need to live in Toronto. And I'm hesitant to say this because I don't want it to be taken out of context, and I don't want people to say, like, I'm just going to do whatever is good for me. But I'm going to speak, to the people who are similar to me. So I'm trusting that this is going to find its way to the people who need to hear this. Is your joy is your priority. Like, you cannot wait for somebody else to prioritize your joy. Finding things that give you life is a priority, is your probably number one priority. Because the thing is as I became increasingly more resentful and heavy and angry, I was also showing up in like a very heavy and dense energy. And the loved one who's extremely sick, it's life threatening. it's palliative. And I've been realizing that I don't have time, and neither does this loved one, to have people around who are angry and resentful. And so it is my responsibility to ensure that my joy is a priority. And it's taking me so long to just recognize that it is not a luxury and it is not frivolous. That would be what it's not frivolous for me to say I need this for my life force energy, so that when I show up with you or any loved ones in this situation, I can be filled with joy and happiness and all the things that are so needed in this extremely difficult time and season we're in. And I got some pushback from some loved ones who think it's a very selfish thing for me to be doing. And I had to sit with that, and I had to think through that, and I had some therapy around it. And my conclusion is the act of somebody prioritizing their joy can be offensive and can be upsetting to people who have not had the opportunity to prioritize their joy. For example, for so many years, they've made life decisions out of responsibility and out of a feeling like they need to do this. Otherwise, they're not responsible, or they're whatever it is. It can be upsetting and it can be offensive to them that there's another individual who is first priority is their joy. And then out of having a joy-filled life, they are overflowing and they can give. And I've had to accept the fact, specifically in the last week, that that's something a couple loved ones of mine and I are going to disagree on, and it hurts me and it makes me sad. And I'm hoping at some point we can, come on to terms where potentially even me prioritizing my joy while also making sure that I can be present and do the things that make everyone feel supported allows them to do the things that they also want to bring them joy. And so it's difficult to be the person who says, I'm prioritizing my joy, and in that I'm making decisions that could be seen as offensive. But I know that once I prioritize my joy, once I prioritize that, it's a overfilled cup. It's an overflowing cup. And there's so much exponential benefit for that, for me and for everyone else. And I am not a selfish human being for doing that. And I've really had to come to terms in the last couple of weeks that it is not selfish. It is not selfish. And even saying this right now, part of me is like fighting it. It's like, well, it is selfish. I don't want people, Dominique, you have to be careful by saying this, because you don't want people to take this out of context and say, well, I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. And, it's my joy. And so good luck. I'm speaking to the people who their loved ones matter to them, and they would give everything and anything for those loved ones. And that's who I'm speaking to. And so sometimes when you have the heart for people and you want to make sure that you're there for people and present for people, we can prioritize those needs of other people over ours. And what happens is that we become increasingly angry and more resentful as the time goes on. And the impact of becoming angry and resentful is so many multitude effects. Is you are slowly dying because your life force is not a priority for you. And then you are putting strain on other relationships because there's expectations that, well, I'm giving everything, so you should also give everything. And if that person's not giving everything, then you become angry and resentful. And that's what I've been doing. Whereas if it's my responsibility and it's my responsibility to prioritize my joy. No one else's. And there's so much freedom that comes from that. Like, I went for a walk today, I was skipping and I was dancing down the street. And you know what happens when I'm prioritizing my joy to go for a walk in the morning is I show up and I come back and I walk through the house and I'm smiling and I'm light and I'm happy, and it's exponential because then the people I interact with and I engage with are also getting that energy. And you know what happens next? I'm gonna sit down and be able to focus on my work. Again, exponential, because when I am focused, things just move. So let this be, I don't know what, like a permission card or just a different way of thinking through things, that your joy is your priority, your life force, and filling your life force is also a priority. And so go do that with that what you like, but just know you are seen and you are loved, and we're here to create magic and miracles in this lifetime.